Priscilla Esparza. The title of my presentation today is Self Management to Enhance Academic Performance, Empowering Graduate Students with Self Management Skills. Self management is a relevant framework in ABA as it empowers learners to take control over their behaviors using evidence based principles. Individuals apply behavior change techniques to shape their own behavior to increase desirable behaviors and outcome using goal setting, self monitoring, evaluation, reinforcement, and stimulus control strategies. It's been widely applied to improve executive functioning, academic engagement, and motivation. In this case study, I used a diverse group of graduate students who struggle with procrastination, test anxiety, and inconsistent study habits. In this scenario, I used three diverse individuals. The first one being similar to myself, a first gen Latinx student. They can use self management strategies such as self monitoring tools such as a to do list to serve as a visual prompt. They can use goal settings to increase consistency and motivation, and they can join a cultural club to connect with others. The ADHD student can implement stimulus control such as environmental arrangements to increase focus. They can use time study blocks to maintain longer attention spans. Um, and last but not least, the full time job and school student can apply positive reinforcement strategies to increase motivation to study, setting clear rewards, increases frequency and study sessions as they may be tired when they get home from work or they may not feel as motivated to complete it before work. By individualizing the interventions, each student builds autonomy and academic resilience regardless of their background. Um, so, for the first article, some key findings that support the framework's effectiveness in the academic settings were they use collaborative student driven programs designed by embedding skill training into schedules. So, for example, they use self regulation strategies and individualized study methods. They offered support and mentorship for inclusion. They discussed how the support and mentorship was important as it advocated for marginalized or underrepresented groups, fostering inclusion and equity. Um, they also discussed how peer mentoring programs and work experience programs allowed the individuals to gain confidence and the ability to cope in and succeed in workplaces. The workplaces should be supportive to neurodivergent individuals. Some self management strategies that they found successful included self monitoring, goal settings to avoid burnout, and scheduled breaks. The second article discussed how ADHD students are often misdiagnosed because of their high intellectual abilities. Some ADHD behaviors include impulsivity, inattention, and poor organization skills, leading to underachievement and emotional distress. Being tied back to the second hypothetical student, dual exceptionalities meaning, they face dual exceptionalities meaning they need support for cognitive development and their function deficits. It discussed how the need for individualized and flexible strategies to balance autonomy and creativity was important as they benefit most from individualized strategies. For example, standard classrooms may not fit them as they may need room to fidget, a calming space, faster or slower pace, just depending on their individual needs. Self management strategies that were successful in this article included self monitoring, goal setting, reinforcement systems, as they address the need for individualization again and respect their cognitive strengths, promoting emotional stability and high academic achievement. In the third article, it discussed how this was a case study that conducted on how challenging classrooms can interfere with student success. This study implemented self management strategies to analyze if they can address and reduce challenging behaviors while increasing academic behaviors. They saw a positive behavioral outcome, such as on task behavior, reduced disruption, and following directions. Academic achievement and work completion increased after using the following strategies: self monitoring, goal setting, self reflection, self chosen primary reinforcers. This study was well suited for diverse populations as a variety of methods were used in a study. Again, this is all about individualization. Self management heavily focuses on how not one approach is going to be suitable for every person out there. For graduate students, these frameworks offer an equitable approach to enhancing study habits, task engagement, and academic performance. So, again, it can be applied to all three graduate students, regardless of their background. Um, for the last article, they implemented goal setting. The last one, yes. They implemented goal setting, self monitoring, self evaluation. Peers use checklists to self monitor their progress. They saw clear and sustained increases in classroom behaviors. Um, mm, sorry. Mentors used prompt fading to increase independence as they saw the individuals maintaining their behaviors. They slowly faded themselves out. Um, this is important because as you teach this in their adolescent stage, it can easily carry on um, into their graduate courses as they're already so used to implementing these strategies. Um, Self management strategies can be generalized to various settings, for example, in general education classrooms and also graduate courses. They saw improvement in organizational skills. They saw how improvement in organizational skills directly aligns with functional support needed as a grad student. So, again, because you learn it in elementary, middle school, high school, it is easier to carry on over and help you become successful in another setting. The difference that I saw between the AI findings and scholarly articles were AI was heavily technology centered. For example, it provided um, different apps that can be used, such as timers and checklists to track your progress. It wasn't very individualized, it was more a broad and generalized. All the strategies were more broad and generalized, and they were given offering surface level strategies. It also focused more on productivity and motivation. So it was more efficiency oriented, meaning it provided minimal context on how to achieve your goals or create functional goals that would help you in the long run. Um, in addition, it did not, environmental and individual barriers were not taken into consideration. So it wouldn't take, it would serve more as a baseline of how you can achieve your goals, but it wouldn't, for example, be tailored to, how to meet your ADHD goals or needs, your ADHD needs, your needs as a full-time student and employee, or the fact that you're first gen and may have different struggles from those who come from um, families that, already have their parents to help them out, or minority versus, you know. So, scholarly articles were more focused on cultural responsiveness. So it gave more of a structured implementation and follow up. It was heavy on mentorship, as we saw in the four articles. So it was social and emotional. It provided social and emotional structure, peer mentorship, self management and evaluation, self efficiency. It was effective, ethical, and culturally responsive, and also it gave long-term goals and benefits. So cultural responsiveness studies and articles were tailored to align with the student's identity and values. Reinforcements and strategies were also individualized. So overall, the main difference was you can definitely use both AI and scholarly articles. However, AI would just be more as a template, and scholarly articles kind of help you see how to implement that template into, like, to fit your individual needs. Um, so the self-management framework, their strengths include it aligns with inclusivity, culturally responsive design, sorry. It promotes independence through well-suited transitions to self-regulation. So again, somebody teaches you how to do this. You're being mentored throughout. It's more of a training. It's also evidence based. So, as we saw with self monitoring, you're always tracking your progress, self evaluation, you're looking at trends. Um, so, you're looking at data. It is a long term it is long term skill generalization. So, as I discussed earlier, it would be beneficial in the long run. And it allows you to generalize your skills across various settings. It is very flexible and individualized. Excuse me. Last but not least, it validates, excuse me, using mentors and peers to enhance motivation and accountability. Some challenges that we saw with this framework is masking and burnout may lead to dishonest self evaluation. So, if you are evaluating yourself, you can easily be dishonest with yourself. Um, Needs tailoring to cultural and neurodiversity specific strengths slash values across students. Um, so, again, it may not, if you are using AI, it may not be tailored to your cultural needs or neurodiversity needs. It is less effective for those who engage in high avoidance behaviors. So if you are constantly avoiding it or constantly avoiding work, it's not going to be effective because you constantly have to track your work, monitor it yourself, and motivate yourself. You have to find things that motivate yourself, or that motivate you. And it requires training to implement. So, again, this can be a challenge because if you don't know how to implement these self management strategies or how to create these self management strategies, the goals, the plans, the progress, the tracking, it's kind of that becomes kind of a barrier because you need the training. So overall, self-management is a structured but flexible ABA framework that supports diverse graduate students. So you can combine AI-generated ideas with peer review scaffolding to foster independent, value-aligned academic behaviors. These are the references that I used, excluding the Cooper one. I forgot to include that one. But yes, these are the references